What's good? It's Woog. Naoya Inoue, the monster, just knocked out Joon Kim in the fourth round. Joon Kim was a late replacement for Sam Goodman in what was supposed to be a fight that I really wanted to see. I mean, there are not too many guys around the weight classes that I think can truly test Naoya Inoue, and maybe Sam Goodman can't either, but I was relatively looking forward to that one. Sam Goodman had kind of a top contender slash prospect versus another top prospect, Rais Aleem. A lot of people, including myself, thought that Aleem was going to win that, and Sam Goodman came out victorious. So I was looking forward to Inoue versus Goodman. It's unfortunate that Goodman sustained the multiple cuts, two different instances of having to cancel the fight due to cuts while sparring. So, I mean, hopefully they can make that back eventually. I don't know what the road to recovery, probably a few months, I'm assuming, for Sam Goodman. But his late replacement was Joon Kim, who again got knocked out in the fourth round. He hit Inoue with some nice left hands. He was a southpaw. I mean, you're talking late replacement, southpaw. I didn't know much about Joon Kim. Inoue admittedly didn't know much about Joon Kim. So Inoue more or less took his time in the first couple of rounds, and Joon Kim had some, at least what appeared to be some early success, at least landing some clean left hands on the monster Naoya Inoue. And although I don't want to make too much of like the broadcast or what, Bernard Osuna or Timothy Bradley have to say, even though I often do enjoy the commentary, but Tim Bradley late in the third round had remarked and mentioned that Naoya Inoue basically figured him out by the end of the third round. Late third round is when Bradley said it. And then in the fourth round, Inoue stops Joon Kim. And I feel like Inoue is increasingly kind of getting the reputation of being a slow starter. I don't always know that to be the case. I think in some instances, including, if you're facing a late replacement southpaw that you know nothing about, okay, I can understand that. But I've also seen other instances of Inoue just coming in there and smoking his opponent within the first couple of rounds. But Inoue, just continues to prove to be more explosive, faster, harder hitting than his other opponents. And I think he's got underrated IQ. Well, can't really call it underrated when the guy's perennially considered a top 3 fighter pound for pound in the sport. But Inoue just, continues to impress. He was fighting a lower level fighter and he made it look like he was fighting a lower level fighter. And the only question really is, okay, so what's next for Inoue? Because we're at a point in his career where, even against good fighters like Luis Neri, Stephen Fulton, he appears to be in cruise control, which is amazing. So some people are like, is he going to eventually go to 126? Some people think that that's a bridge too far. But in this post-fight interview, in-ring interview, Inoue's promoter, the 93-year-old Bob Arum. Let's give it up for Bob Arum. He is still in there after fights in the ring, talking about what's next and promoting essentially. But Bob Arum and Inoue said that Inoue plans to fight in Las Vegas and Saudi Arabia in 2025. That to me is pretty exciting. I hope that the opponents that they put him in there with kind of match the occasion location-wise. I feel like it's more so guaranteed to be the case in Saudi Arabia, just because if it is any part of Riyadh season, we know Turkey Al-Sheikh and Riyadh season, they tend to put very competitive fights together, whereas Las Vegas might be more of a victory lap, just kind of like a bucket list. You've got the monster in Las Vegas at this stage of his career. He's fought in the States and in, Nevada before, against Michael Dasmariñas and against Jason Maloney. Those took place in Vegas. But I'm trying to think, though, since that was 2020, 2021, I think that those might have been crowdless events. But nonetheless, it would be a big occasion for Naoya Inoue to be fighting in Las Vegas at this kind of highly esteemed, very visible portion of his career. Bob Arum was referencing the great Shohei Ohtani and talking about how just momentous it would be to have one of the greatest athletes in any sport, really, from Japan coming over to fight in Las Vegas in front of a big crowd. So now the conversation is, who is that opponent going to be? I'm hoping it's MJ Akhmadaliev, and I think a lot of people want to see Akhmadaliev. Obviously, the dream fights for Inoue would be against Junto Nakatani, who still would have to come up from 118 to 122, and Nakatani hasn't been at 118 for very long, so that would involve some weight hopping for Nakatani specifically. But then the other dream matchup is against Bam Rodriguez, who would actually have to climb 2 divisions to fight Naoya Inoue, unless Inoue comes down a division and they meet at 118, where one person comes down, one person comes up, and they do it that way. But otherwise, Bam Rodriguez would have to jump multiple divisions to fight Naoya Inoue. But Bam has been looking that good that people still want to see that happen. But I think that for those dream fights to occur, that would more likely be the second fight, the Saudi Arabia fight in 2025, if not even later than that, 2026. We'll have to see how Bam's next fight or two kind of come together, and if he, feels comfortable making that type of a weight jump right now. A lot of people remark on Bam Rodriguez kind of looking bigger between fights, sort of suggesting that he could somewhat comfortably move up a division, like his body will allow him to put on the weight, basically. But that's just speculation. So I think that if they were to do one of those dream fights, Nakatani or Bam Rodriguez, it would either be, again, the second fight in 2025 or the first fight in 2026, or even the second fight in 2026. I don't know what that part of the horizon looks like, but otherwise, I would want to see either them put that Sam Goodman fight back together, or for us to finally get Naoya Inoue versus MJ Akhmadaliev. MJ Akhmadaliev for a while has been one of those 122 guys, one of the top 2 or 3 guys in the division. He was a pretty long time IBF and WBA champion. He had defended both titles successfully for, a few defenses. And at the time that Stephen Fulton had beaten Brandon Figueroa in a really close fight that they're actually going to run back, now up at 126. But when Stephen Fulton captured the second title, there was a lot of talk, or at least a lot of want from the boxing community to see Stephen Fulton versus MJ Akhmadaliev. But then enter Naoya Inoue, destroys Stephen Fulton, takes those titles, and then MJ Akhmadaliev had a big setback, losing to Marlon Tapales. So Tapales beat Akhmadaliev, took his 2 belts, and then that's how Inoue won the other 2 belts to become undisputed at 122. But, that loss, close loss for Akhmadaliev aside, people still want to see Akhmadaliev because he's just a good fighter. Yes, he did lose a close fight to Tapales, but people still, I think, want to see Naoya Inoue in that sort of unfinished business, like that finish your breakfast, basically, in the division. And that would have to be against Akhmadaliev, at least until Junto Nakatani, storms the gates at 122. But I hope that that's the fight that's taking place next for Naoya Inoue. I think now would be the time to do that. Do it in Las Vegas. Even though neither fighter is American, I just think that venue-wise, it's just a big deal if it's in Las Vegas. But yeah, the Inoue saga continues, and he just continues just obliterating his opponents. I mean, that finishing sequence, as soon as he started landing really cleanly, almost at will, against Kim started inviting him to, hit him some more, like kind of psyching himself up, seemingly. And then Inoue, 1-2 punch combination by 1-2 punch combination, just started really finding a home for that right hand. And, a couple wave-ins too many allowed Inoue to kind of put the finishing touches on Joon Kim. A couple nice shots to the body too. But, shout out to Joon Kim. I think, not enough is mentioned and appreciated about some of these late replacements. Like, yes, you are getting probably a bigger payday. Like if you're in the case of Joon Kim, he probably, I would hope, made more money fighting Inoue on this short notice than he has in any other fight in his career. So they are making more money, but it's like, what are you getting paid to do? Think about that. Like why are you getting more money? You are getting more money because you are saving the event and you are about to get in there with one of the most destructive forces in boxing, one of the pound for pound best fighters, somebody who's so good and so exciting to watch that people are paying money to see this guy knock out and destroy his next opponent because of what they know he's capable of. So you're basically getting paid to get your ass beat pretty soundly. I mean, the more you could be formidable and make it an exciting and hopefully maybe competitive fight, hats off to you. The longer you could stay in there and take your beating, but keep on getting off the stool to get in there for the next round, more power to you. But at the end of the day, you are really getting paid to lose. And so, when somebody starts circling, they're a late notice replacement and they don't seem willing to engage and they are more or less fighting a survivalist fight. I kind of understand, what I'm saying? I get how, as a viewer, that could be frustrating, but from their standpoint, it's like the alternative is the inevitable. And that is, I just get beaten to the point that I either lose consciousness, the ref has to jump in and save me. that's just an extraordinary thing to ask somebody to get in there and do, even if you are paying them pretty handsomely. But yeah, shout out to Joon Kim. I think he actually gave it a go. He tried. He took a lot of shots. He tried to box as well as he could, and he ended up getting stopped in the 4th round. So yeah, shout out to Joon Kim as well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this latest destruction at the hands of Naoya Inoue. Who do you want to see Inoue fight next? And how do you kind of see this 2025 Vegas fight and Saudi Arabia fight, if they do occur? How do you expect to see those go down opponent-wise? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.